There we go. This one is Renato de Leon. How are we? Oh, we're still missing a couple. How are we doing on time? Oh, we're good on time. We're good. You guys having fun so far? There you go. Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome, Tina. Let's go. Let's go with the next one. This one is from Renato. Says, I'm Renato. I'm a self-taught 3D artist from the Philippines aiming to break into the industry as a stylized prop artist. I've had a couple of projects already from people I knew, but never had any actual studio experience yet. I started with Blender in 2020 as a hobby, but I logged in when I was encouraged to join local 3D competitions. Fast forward, I was set to compete in France for Wall Skills 2024 in 3D game art, but I was past the age limit. Still, my training and career with gaming studio professionals gave me valuable insights and techniques that I applied to my recent works. I want to hear your thoughts on my modeling, sculpting, textures, and overall quality. Let's take a look. Always learning, always improving. That's right, man. Nice, nice. Okay, okay. So the first thing I see is that we are going for a very, again, stylized or like simplistic thing. Good forms in general. I think we can improve the colors a little bit. I'll explain that in just a second. From this one is definitely the more like... polished one, especially on the presentation side. I see it very, very nice right there. Yeah, try my first advice for you, Renato, is to try to see how you could fit this in something that looks a little bit more complex, because these assets to me, they look like assets that you could be doing in like, I don't know, 2 or 3 days, right? Like it's something that's like relatively fast. And in portfolios, you always want to try to show things that are a lot more complex. That's a it's a good poly sculpt. It's a good poly model. It's a good texturing even. Like I like the light and the direction and everything. But we want to try doing something that's a little bit more complex. This one I really like. I've seen this dragon. Oh, it's a game, right? So for this kind of stuff, man, one thing that you guys need to take into account, especially in the stylized elements, is that we need to play a little bit more with the focal point. Like, where do we want people to be paying attention to, right? So if I want them to be paying attention to this area in particular, I need to be playing a little bit more with the contrast. Okay. Well, now I suddenly forgot my shortcuts. There we go. So for instance here, we can push the contrast here a little bit more and start adding a little bit more highlight. Oh, let me go back to my normal brush. There we go. And we're going to start adding a little bit more highlight on some of the elements, right? Like if light was hitting this part a little bit more, and that will push the attention of whoever is watching to that particular area. And you can generate this contrast with two things. You can do it with color, and you can do it with light, right? So in this case, for instance, I could also start adding a little bit more shadow on some of these areas. And by generating that contrast, that pushes the view or the eyes of the viewer more into this area. Does that make sense? Same for this little like snout right there. You can start adding a little bit of these things right there. And by doing that, especially when we see it from afar, our eye is going to be drawn to that specific area because there's more difference between, again, the highlights and the low polys. So yeah, I would definitely try to push that on that. Like just play a little bit more. And this is where, again, if you're going to be doing hand painted stuff, I strongly recommend you learn 3D Code, because yes, you can control this kind of stuff in Substance, but you will have more artistic control inside of 3D Code. This one looks very, very nice. Yeah, good stuff, man. Renato, best advice I can give you, go for more complex things, okay? Like if you want to do, I don't know, like a biking boat concept art, right? Imagine doing like a full biking boat in that style. That would look very, very sick. Something like this, right? Like that's going to really make your whole thing like pop. And that's the thing, like people see this kind of stuff and they're like, oh man, that's too much work, I'm just going to do a shield. Yeah, but everyone else is also just going to do a shield. So if you're the one that says, I'm not only going to do a shield, I'm going to do the full freaking boat, that gives you more points. That makes your portfolio stand out. That's going to give you the edge, right? So that's the sacrifice that you got to make. The really like a strong thing that you got to push for so that you can set yourself apart from everyone else. Let's go to the next one.